4, part A. Write down the value of 3 in the number 7.342. Well, as far as the place value of each of these numbers are concerned, the 7 is the units. We have the 4, which is the tenths. We have the 3, which is the hundredths. And that's what the question's caring about. So 3 hundredths would be our answer. Now there's different ways that you can write this. 3 hundredths is written like that in terms of words. You can also write it as 3 over 100. You could also write it as 0.03. That is what this represents. You also got the mark if you were able to identify that that is a hundredth and you wrote it like that, or you wrote it like this, or you wrote it like this. That would have also got you the mark. But one of these would have been the nicer way of actually clarifying that it's 3 of these. Part B. Round 7.432 to the nearest number. Well, the nearest number is the units column, so we're rounding it there. That 4 will not change. That's 7. So we end up with 7, and that's it. There's nothing to put after it because it's the nearest whole number, so we wouldn't put 7.0 or anything like that. 7 is our answer. Part C, write down the number which is exactly halfway between 0.7 and 0.8. Well, if you want to know what's halfway between two numbers, you find the average, you find the mean of them. You add them together, divide by 2, and we will end up with 0.75 is our answer. Part D, write down these numbers in order of size. Start with the smallest number. Well, when we look at these numbers, they all start off with a 0, so they're all equal in terms of the units column. The next thing that we would look at is the tenths column. So we have a 1 here, a 3 here, a 4 here, a 0 here, and a 3 here. So the 0 will win for being the smallest number, so 0.07 there. We then had a 1 here for the 1/10, meaning that 0.14 will be the second smallest number. We then had two numbers that had a 3 in the tenths column before a single number that had a 4 in the tenths column, so 0.4 will be our biggest number. And then of the two that I've highlighted or circled there even, the hundredths column, there's 5 hundredths for this number and 0 hundredths for that number, which means the 0.306 is going to be smaller than 0.35, and that gives us our final order from the smallest number to the biggest. Part E, write down 0.31 as a fraction. Well, any number can be written as a fraction if we just write it over 1. So I could write it 0.31 over 1 like so. You can multiply or divide top and bottom by a fraction by whatever you want. So to have this look like a real fraction, as it were, we don't want that decimal. So what we need to do is multiply top and bottom by enough tens to make all the decimals disappear. If we multiply it by 100, it will do just that. The top will become 31, and the bottom will become 100. This fraction can't be simplified, and the question doesn't actually ask for it anyway. 31 over 100 is our answer to that. Done.